Tallahassee, Big Bend area high school football fans. This is another edition of the Extra Point. I'm Mark Adams, and I'm here with my tag team partner, Coach Johnny Cofield. Coach, man, what's going on?
What's up, Mark? I'm enjoying the football season. I'm living my best life. Uh, Great high school games, great players. I'm enjoying every bit of it.
Yeah, it's been a very interesting season, but let's not waste any time. Let's go ahead and jump into it. The week 3 rewind, Florida High taking on Leon, and Seminoles offense is too much. And this is just absolute domination, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Between just the two of them, this is Drew Farrow, their quarterback, and Ryder Popple, their running back. They've already gone over 1,000 yards in 3 games. 4 games. And Florida High is just rolling right now. Between the two of them, that's 14 touchdowns. And that's just the two of them. If I had the chance to throw in everybody that was producing for their team, it would be quite a list that we'd have to work through. But quarterback Drew Farrow, 2 touchdowns passing and 2 touchdowns rushing, 9 of 16 in the air for 164 yards, 104 yards on the ground on just 5 carries. Then you have Ryder Popple, who had 91 yards rushing. I don't know why they didn't feed him just a couple of more times. He could have gone over 100. And then also had 77 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. And really just for the Seminoles, this is just kind of them hitting their stride. They go into their bye week, I believe, this week at the right time, really dominating all of their first 4 opponents. Running back Michael Danzy, we're going to be mentioning his name quite a bit as the season goes on, had 2 touchdowns rushing and a 98-yard punt return. And really, this team is just shaping up to be probably the most complete team in the area. We talked about them in the preseason and how they were poised to make a run. And man, they just look legit right now.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing that number 1 player, Trey Donaldson, is not even playing, and they're doing this without him. And so that to tell you they're only going to get better when he comes back. And you can't overlook how good this team is. They're putting up numbers every week. It doesn't matter who they play. The level of football is extreme. And when they're playing a team at Leon High School is a 7A school, and they put up 53 points on them, that's amazing to me. The level of football at Florida High is just unbelievable right now, and they look like they're headed to the state championship. You know, I know it's way too early.
Oh yeah, there's a reason why we play the game, but man, for what we've seen so far, they have lived up to the hype. Ryder Popple was definitely a nice surprise wrinkle to the offense, but it's just like the rich keep on getting richer. This was already a good football team and a couple of more additions. And the way this offensive line just bullies people around. I've watched them up close. And, man, they just get into your face and they don't care who you are. They're just going to push you around. And it shows. Being able to create pockets and seams for Farrow and Popple. And then when you add Danzy into the mix, he's a young kid, but definitely able to make his way. That offense just turns into a 3-headed monster. And it doesn't matter who they throw the ball to. They've created such a good running game that they've opened up plenty of room for the passing attack.
Yeah, this is an impressive team. I know it's early, but if we 4 games into the season, teams are kind of deciding who they are, their makeups are. And when you look at Florida High from the beginning of the season to now, man, you can't help but be impressed.
Let's move around the capital city. Ricketts taking on Gaston County Soul Bowl. Hadn't been one in a couple of years. And, man, what a great way to kind of get through the midpoint of the season, man. 2 teams. And let's just go over the history here. On Gaston County staff is about 3 or 4 Ricketts alum, including head coach Corey Fuller and Coach Devin Rispers. Those are Ricketts. I'm talking about Redskins. Those are Ricketts Redskins. And just a lot of emotion, just a lot of familiar faces. Anytime you have a chance to go up against your alma mater or return back to your old stomping grounds where you kind of made your way, it's always going to be an emotional game. And this game was played with a lot of heart and emotion. Gaston County came out after really a flat performance the week before, came out with a lot of fire, a lot of fight. Unfortunately, it wasn't enough. Rickers was able to come away with the win, and we'll talk about why. 43-36 over Gaston County. Back and forth game a little bit, but definitely not without its excitement and high moments. Rickers quarterback Michael Townsend was definitely the X factor in this game, as he was 18 of 22, and that was really just a short side of the story. He had 276 yards in the air and ran for 186 yards, but this is the real tail of the tape: 3 touchdowns rushing and 3 touchdowns passing. It's hard to stop him when he gets into a rhythm. He just finds people all over the field, and if he doesn't find anybody, you better look out, because he's going to beat you with his legs. Offensive line for Rickers definitely deserves a helmet sticker all the way around. Offensive lineman Myron Ward graded out at 93%, and kicker Chris Turner was 5 of 6 on point after attempts. And defensively, the Raiders have always had that hallmark, being able to put together the offensive side of things. Just kind of adds those ripple effects. Gaston County really showed up to this game. They really did. They were able to kind of surprisingly show up with a lot of offensive firepower, which I was not expecting. And it was nice to see them returning to form, see some of the younger guys grow up a little bit, really take on that challenge. That spells good things for Gaston County. This team's going to be fine going down the road, even though they are still winless. I look for them to get their first win sooner than later as the season progresses. But really, this was Rickers' night. They were able to outlast Gaston County, really coming down to the wire defensively. Kamari Strong led the Raider defense with 8 tackles, but, that's just Rickers football. They find a way to win, and this has been the new Raiders hallmark, is being able to use playmakers and athletes to get the W.
Mark, I can imagine getting ready to play your old high school. Corey Fuller had those guys ready. They hadn't performed up to par in the last couple of weeks, and and I can imagine him in practice. I wasn't there, but I know how he is, and he can get his guys fired up. He doesn't have an issue. He doesn't have a problem. He don't want to look bad in front of his people, and playing the way he does, and the kind of player he was, he is not going to let his team come in and not show. He was impressive with his with the way he played. They hadn't scored, Mark, in the last 2 games, and then they come in here and they put up 30-something plus points and gave Rickers all they can handle. And
assistant coach Mark Lyles kept telling people that this team's going to be fine. They're just young. And it really showed how much, how much progress they have made. I mean, playing those tough opponents, made no mistakes. Nobody likes to lose, but playing those tougher opponents gets you ready for, emotional, intense games like this. And even though they're 0-3, this team's going to notch that first win. I still look for them to don't be surprised if they make a run in the playoffs. Anytime you have younger guys that can learn from older, experienced guys, and the culture stays the same, it yields results at the right time. Yeah. Lincoln Trojans taking on Bartram Trail down in St. Augustine. Trojan magic comes through again, pulls the victory out of the clutches of defeat. I was watching on Twitter, just kind of keeping up with the scores, and it's just kind of exciting how Lincoln just refused to quit. They were not going to fall to 1-2, and they made sure that in special defense, I'm going to talk about these guys in a minute because they are just a wrecking crew in and of themselves. But Trojan defense comes up big in this ball game. They were able to put their team, I would say, in a good enough position to win. Quarterback Perry Fisher was able to do what was necessary to get the W. He threw for 2 touchdowns and 178 yards, and that come from behind win. Last quarter was just really what really allowed Lincoln to get back into the driver's seat. As coming down the stretch, that last 7 minutes, just being able to capitalize off of opportunities. Even in small ways, being able to push Bartram Trail back, keep them from getting the first down. Defense able to capitalize on for turnovers. And let's go ahead and talk about Raylan Wilson. stars don't really do you justice when you see it in person. When you see it on film, that's really what it's all about. When you see Raylan Wilson, you see why he's a highly touted recruit. And really, this whole defense is not just him. Amarion LaRoche has made a name for himself. And I got to talk about this young man because they are going step for step. I'm not sure if they don't have a contest or play rock, paper, scissors before the game to see who's going to come up with the most tackles for a loss, and most sacks. But they had 11 tackles apiece. And that's your linebackers. There's just two of your linebackers have 11 tackles apiece. Raylan Wilson also added a forced fumble and a sack. But this is why Lincoln was able to climb back into the driver's seat and win the game. Defense, solid defense. And they've got stars all over the field. But we talked about their offense last week. Now it's the defense that's getting their shine. Wilson and LaRoche are definitely up for my nominees for Player of the Week on defense. But Lincoln just had another amazing comeback. And that just adds to the lore. This is a part of their culture. This is a part of Lincoln's DNA, is to pull out road wins in tough environments where it doesn't seem like they're supposed to win. They've made this their hallmark since going back to Coach Wilson. So anytime that's a part of your culture, and you got guys on their staff that understand what that means, that's not an accident.
Yeah, Mark, the Trojan, I guess the legacy lives on. These guys are performing at a pace. They got a new coach. Things are moving along for them. They had a little rough patch playing early in the season, but now look like they've hit their stride. And I know Coach Tyson. He was on the staff with us when he was a young pup, and now he's a veteran coach. He has a intense mentality. The guys are going to play hard. They're going to fight. And when they get behind, I'm sure he was pushing and urging them on and letting them know the game is not over until that final zeros hit their clock. And they came back and played at a team that was ranked pretty good and has a team who was in the state championship last year. And so that let you know that the program is still headed in the right direction.
Yeah, absolutely. Wakulla War Eagles down Newberry 36-17. Wakulla, had to swap some things out due to, I believe it was COVID protocol, and they've picked up an opponent. Didn't matter, got the victory anyway. They just cruised to a dominant win. This was traditional Wakulla football. They ran the football efficiently, moved the offense, powerful offensive line, and that's just what Coach Cleese wants to do. Come out, dominate the game, not trail or fall behind. And this was just a signature War Eagle win. Let's go ahead and talk about Denzel Miller. Just an athlete, just pure, all over the field. You can plug him in almost to any spot. And Coach had positive things to say about him before the season started. So this was just a breakout game for him on offense and on defense. On defense, 6 tackles, 2 interceptions. And then 104 yards receiving on 5 catches, 2 touchdowns, and then had another just on a single carry, just handing him the ball one time, went for 40 yards and another touchdown. I don't know where I put him in terms of on offense, on defense, in terms of our player of the week, but we got to give this kid a shout out. Just had an excellent game. Those games don't come too often, but when they do, and you get consistent output on offense and on defense, the stars just align. This kid just showed out, really just was a bright spot for the War Eagles. Running back Brandon Wilson also for the War Eagles had 200 yards on the ground, rushing on 19 carries, just an absolute workhorse and a 1 touchdown. Like I said, a signature War Eagle win behind a good offensive line, just kind of bullied Newberry around. And this was just what Coach Cleese was looking for as the War Eagles moved to 1-1 on the season.
Yeah, great win for the War Eagles. They're becoming a constant. They're going to get great performance out of a multitude of kids. And look like they always have this guy just like Denzel Miller that can play all kind of positions, receiver, quarterback, DB, whatever, linebacker. It doesn't matter. And they do a great job of preparing these kids for their games.
Okay, let's check in on Bo Johnson and his Bluntstown Tigers as they down Mariana 18-0. Tigers got to look out for them. They're 3-0 on the year, and they've got some heavy hitters on defense. In terms of what they've been able to do, your second shutout, in only 3 games. You moved to 3-0. They've given up 27 points on the year, and that was just in week number 2. Defensive lineman Deontay Reed led the defense with 10 tackles and 3 tackles for a loss. And then quarterback Josh Pope was 7 of 12 for 82 yards and a touchdown. Wide receiver Andre Williams had 128 total yards and another score. And this team looks like they're hitting their stride. This 1A is starting to shape up. We're starting to see who the dominant contenders are. I look for them. Port St. Joe and Sneeze to be battling it out in the 1A North. Can't forget about Baker out there further out in the Panhandle. But just in our region alone, 1A is going to look pretty interesting. You go to the other side, we're going to talk about some other 1A teams, and we'll get back to Madison. But, man, for Bluntstown, this is where Coach Johnson really is taking his players that he's hyped up all summer and showing you that they are the real deal. On defense, we had I think it was Rosa who won our Defensive Player of the Week award a couple of weeks ago. When you put these guys together, they're really starting to showcase why they're one of the top teams in 1A, and they lead statistically in a lot of categories defensively. So I look for this team to kind of keep the ball rolling again, being able to dodge some of those early pitfalls and mistakes. They've whooped up on 2 Georgia schools, and they're finally bringing it back to the Sunshine State. And I look for Bluntstown to kind of be one of those dominant teams as we move throughout the season. Let's keep it rolling with John Paul and McClay hooking up last Friday night. Panthers just too much for McClay. And really, McClay had a great outing, just wasn't enough as the Panthers raced past the Marauders 53-31. And just too many offensive weapons on John Paul's team. I think it was 5 different Panthers found the end zone, and 8 Panthers had at least 20 yards of offense or more. And when you got that kind of production, it just spells a lot about how you're trying to move around. I would say this is a very impatient team on offense. They want to get going in a hurry. And if you watch Tremaine Hughes, he's just looking for the next opportunity. The young quarterback had a great game, threw for 242 yards passing with 3 touchdowns. And then running back Jalen Walden had 163 yards rushing on 2 TDs just to help power their offense. And they look good. Not without their bright spots, but McClay, even though in the loss, quarterback Michael Grant, and this is worth a mention, was 22 of 31 passing for 319 yards. I can't overlook that, and 4 touchdowns. So this was a high scoring game. Over 80 points put up on the scoreboard. Whoever was running the clock and the scoreboard, I'm sure their fingers are still hurting. But Panthers take this one, and Coach Tremaine Hughes is coming into his own.
Yeah, Tremaine Hughes started as a freshman. I remember when he was playing Pop 1, he was the best player on the field. And now as a high school player, he is showing what he's made of and what kind of play you can look forward to. I mean, this kid performs every week, and I've seen we can go back to last year where he made a great play against Childs High School, breaking tackles, scrambling, and scoring a touchdown. He is a tremendous player, and he's only going to get better as the season goes on.
Yeah, absolutely. Great effort by both of those quarterbacks, Grant and Hughes. Let's head out to Jacksonville. Madison County trying to get back into on the winning side of things. They take on University Christian, which is no slouch. And just Madison's defense really came up big in this one as the Cowboys take this one 28-14 over University Christian. University Christian lost to one of their best players in the middle of the game. Just was beat up by that Madison defense. And when they lost him, that kind of opened up the floodgates for a very opportunistic Madison defense to take advantage. Defense forced a couple of turnovers down the stretch just to kind of seal that victory. And this is what Coach Cole is looking for. The schedule's not going to change. It's already there. It takes, of course, acts of God to kind of move your schedule around. They've just got tough draws here down the stretch. And that's how it should be. This is a team that has won 3 state championships in the last 4 years. So they're looking to put things back together just to kind of make another run. And this is how it starts. You got to beat up on the guys that are already the formidable foes. And this was Madison being Madison and doing things that Cowboys do and they take the win on the road 28-14. NFC taking on Jefferson County, and Eagles, too much offense for the Tigers as they win this one 28-12. And really for NFC, for the offense, just their identity has been found in the air attack as J.P. Pickles was I had to blink a couple of times to read the stat line right, but he was 28 of 46. And so, yeah, they handed the ball off a few times, but only just a few. But he threw for 344 yards and 3 touchdowns. Traylon Ray caught all 3 of those TDs and had 10 catches. So they were able to establish their passing attack early, get into a rhythm. And linebacker Bryce Google, yes, that's his name, led the defense with 16 tackles. And really for the NFC, this was a must win for them. They needed to get pick up that second win in a season that could be shortened at any moment. You kind of want to make sure you get into a rhythm early as we go into week number 4. So that was a crucial game for them. Defense forced 4 turnovers, and just for NFC, this was them finding their hitting their stride at the right time and using their offensive weapons.
Yeah, it was a tough game. I talked to Coach Reynolds. Felt like his team kind of underperformed it in this game, and they did really get out to a good start with the NFC. It looked for NFC, the traditional team winning multiple state titles, new coach, new players, and J.P. Pickles playing quarterback. If I'm not mistaken, wasn't he the leading tackler or one of the leading tacklers?
Yeah, just a year ago. Still had a great game defensively too. Don't sleep on him. It's just he just was throwing the ball so often. It's hard to talk about him on defense. But him and Traylon Ray, that connection seems to be a go-to for NFC, and they're going to have to rely on that as they move down and try to establish more of their offensive identity. Wasn't a big night rushing for them, but you get by how you get by. If it's working for you, keep doing it. And so far, their air attack was exactly what the doctor ordered. Got them that crucial win. And we'll see how. And of course, Jefferson still trying to put things together, 0-3. But we'll see how the season fares. Still a lot of football left to be played. Thomas County Central Downs Godby Cougars going on the road, crossing state lines into Thomasville, and just really struggling to find their identity here as a team. Quarterback Chris Sims played great or good enough, in my opinion, for the team to win. Just weren't enough opportunities on defense really to stop. Didn't take advantage of enough opportunities on defense to stop Thomas County Central. Was a close ball game, kind of back and forth until the third quarter. But Chris Sims was 10 of 18 for 267 yards and a touchdown, and really Godby trying to, find their identity as they go into next week. They're going to need to figure some things out. But let's talk about Monroe. The Bobcats taking on North Bay Haven out in Panama City, and Bobcats, another stellar defensive performance as they down the Buccaneers 36-0. Defense hitting their stride, in my opinion, and it looks like they found QB1 in Joshua Brown as he kind of led that offense for the duration of the game. Threw for 200 yards, had a great night, and then ran for another 100. And really offensively, this is Monroe, starting to own this new identity of being an offensive and defensive powerhouse at their level. Running back Austin Perkins rushed for 119 yards on just 10 carries. And then on the defense, man, I like these boys. I like watching them play. They're physical, they're intense, and they just bully people around. Defensive lineman Aristotle Cummins helped lead that defensive effort with 11 tackles, 5 tackles for a loss, and 3 sacks. Davion Brooks was not to be overlooked as well. He also had 3 sacks, and the defense forced 4 turnovers. 2 of those were interceptions. And this looks like a complete team, honestly, just with the way they play and understanding that their opponents will get bigger and better as their program develops. But for what they've got on the schedule, they're handling business.
Yeah, it looks like they're on the road to maybe going 10-0. I know a couple of teams on there might have a problem with that, me saying that, but it's gonna be they're gonna be a tough out in the playoffs. They got players all over the place. I mean, this is not your granddaddy's Monroe, man. They got players all over the place. I remember a time when they used to be that's the team you put on your schedule. You say victory, not no more. When you come in there, when you play them, those guys are tough. They're putting up points. They're not giving up anything on defense. I'm impressed with how they've done this season, and I'm looking forward to the matchups that they got when they play JP2. Man, that's going to be a heck of a matchup for them.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of big games. A lot of good football still yet
match. That's a 2A match. I will pay to go see, but I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully, we'll be able to see that game. It's exciting to look forward to, and I think those two, are headed for a knockdown drag out later on in the season.
Absolutely. Osceola 3-0. A couple of those are forfeitures, but that's okay. 3-0 is still 3-0. Had a big win over St. Francis, 32-6. Offense, Jace Grant on 10 carries had 171 yards and 2 touchdowns. And then this is what I like about Osceola. You're not just one thing. You got to be 2 or 3 sometimes. And, to be able to get it done on offense and on defense is just a must. So whenever we get stats from them, I'm always impressed because these are kids that are really not coming off the field, other than to chug some water and maybe wave at their mom in the stands. Other than that, they're going to be, in between the hash marks making plays. And, for Osceola, defense and offensive lineman, Gannett Fouliard had 17 tackles and 2 tackles for a loss. And, probably got in some offensive work on the line as well. And for Osceola, this is kind of the victory that I would say is a must win because it's the first time they're actually getting a chance to actually take the field full 48 minutes and play an opponent. And that was just pent up energy. They just took it out on somebody because they couldn't play the week before. So a big win for the Osceola Warriors. Another team that's 3-0 very quietly that we need to look out for in 1A is Lafayette Mayo Hornets. They take a big win over Trenton, 26-14. Hornets quietly. They're just a dark horse right now, in my opinion, but they're establishing themselves as another team in 1A that's going to challenge Madison on that side of the bracket. We had a chance to talk with their head coach in the offseason, and, really, you kind of don't, you're not going to tell what, all your secrets, but, I think he should have probably told us about Mario Thomas. This kid has been absolute lights out every single game, had 144 yards on 6 carries and 3 touchdowns, and he's the quarterback. So anytime you're getting that kind of production out of your QB, that just spells nothing but good things. So Lafayette Mayo Hornets and Mario Thomas had a big win over Trenton, 26-14. Other scores around the area: Taylor County Bulldogs down FAMU High, taking the win over the Baby Rattlers, 38-0. Choctaw beats Childs. Timberwolves still looking for that first win on the year. They fall to Choctaw 31-7. And Liberty County beats Cottondale 35-6. And that's your rewind, Coach. Man, I'm seeing a lot of breakout stars here. Definitely looking at the amount of games that we still have to play, but I'm just impressed so far with what I've seen.
Yeah, it's going to be – the season is standing up to be a great season. And we got some great players doing some great things, exciting. If you got a chance to go out and see a high school football game, man, you're seeing some future stars. These guys, a lot of these guys going to be playing on Saturday. And
yeah, absolutely.
Watch them when they're young, because I can sit here and watch TV right now and see some of the guys I saw in high school, man. It's exciting.